Nijo talking to us about capital gains today. Capital gains we are dividing into a few sessions. Today we are talking about house property and aspects like that. If you have questions on these, whatever portions we have covered, whatever sessions we have covered, please do ask in the comments, or you can write to us, or you can even contact Nijo directly. Please continue supporting us. Welcome, Nijo. Please guide us on these aspects.
Welcome all the viewers and subscribers of Media Madangi, and thanks a lot for the support given to all our sessions. Today we will just discuss about taxation on capital gain of house property. I'll brief you first what is capital gain. Now, any capital asset could be a land, building, vehicles, patents, trademark, everything is capital asset actually. It is not that just land is capital asset, building is capital asset, nothing like that. Any of these things is shares you hold, it is capital asset, even though you trade it and all those things. Once you vest it and sell it, it is actually a capital asset, and capital gain is applicable for that. So, so that is capital asset. So when you sell it, or when it comes to income tax department, they also say transfer the property. Even in that case also, there is a capital gain which arises over there. So that means you sell it to somebody, you make some money, or you deem to make a gain over there. Let's say I have a property and I transfer it to Ash's name just as a friend, but still there is a capital gain applicable over there, even though I get a monetary benefit or not. Okay, so that is why they call it as capital gain tax. Why I insist on this point is because many people confuse on this point. They always think actually because if I transfer something into somebody's name, then capital gain is not applicable. It is not like that. So today we will discuss about house property. Sale of house property and the taxation related to that. Now, house property, now when it comes to capital gain, there are two kinds of capital gain. One is short-term capital gain and one is long-term capital gain. When you hold a property for more than 24 months, that is 2 years. If you hold a property for 2 years or more, then it is going to be a long-term property. If you hold it less than 24 months, it is going to be a short-term capital gain for you if you sell it before 24 months. Okay. Now, treatment of taxation is different when you sell it before 24 months or after 24 months. Treatment of taxation will be considered as short-term capital gain taxes. And if it is beyond 24 months, it is called as long-term capital gain taxes. Now, short-term capital gain is a simple calculation. What is your sales consideration? That is for what rate you are selling something like your property, minus the sale, the acquisition, your purchase value, and that is your profit. The only thing what you can adjust over there is if there is any sale expenses, you can adjust it to that, and then that is your profit. And that profit will be added to your income and it will be taxed under your regular tax slab. For example, if you already have income above 10 lakh rupees, and if you sell some property worth 20 lakh rupees and you get a profit of 10 lakh rupees, this 10 lakh will be added to your 10 lakh existing income and will be calculated as a regular tax. So there is no much of scope of exempting the tax or saving the tax over there. What is the profit? You have to pay tax. And keep in mind, because many people think actually a house is a personal asset and I don't need to pay tax. It is not like that. Even a house or a flat or even a residential property you have, it is actually a capital asset for which tax is applicable. The only thing as of now which is exempted will be agricultural land which is in a rural area, not in a municipal boundary actually. Only for that actually it is not considered as a capital asset, and capital gain is not applicable, tax applicable, not applicable over there. Now when it comes to long-term capital gain, so if the property you hold it for more than 2 years and then sell it, the long-term capital gain is applicable there. Now how to calculate the long-term capital gain? Now long-term capital gain, the calculation is similar, sale value minus purchase value, but if there is any improvement cost you have, that also you can consider over there. Improvement cost in the sense, let's say you had some improvements inside the house which can appreciate the value of the asset, that also can be considered. The only difference is how to calculate the acquisition value, that is your purchase value. The income tax department has given a benefit of indexation. Indexation is nothing but cost of inflation benefit. Now, to explain it in a better way, assume you have purchased a property for 1 lakh rupees 10 years ago. That 1 lakh rupees is not equivalent to 1 lakh rupees right now. It could be equivalent to 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. So time on time, like every year, income tax department release an indexation value. For every year, there is an indexation value available. With that, we will be able to arrive at an indexed cost of the property. So the property which you bought for 1 lakh rupees 10 years ago could be the purchase value as per the department will be 10 lakh rupees. As per the, I'm just giving an example, actually, you need to calculate as per that. So assume, I will just give a small example. You are selling a property for 50 lakh rupees. You have bought the property for 10 lakh rupees. Now, as per you, as a layman, the profit is going to be 40 lakh. That is 50 lakhs minus 10 lakhs. So with this indexation benefit, you can calculate the current purchase value, current value of the 10 lakh rupees. Now, current value of the 10 lakh, what you spent 10 years ago, it could be 25 lakhs. So that means 50 lakhs minus 25 lakhs. That is, your profit is only 25 lakhs, not 50 minus 10 lakhs, 40 lakhs is not your profit. Okay. So I think that part is clear. Actually, that is how you calculate the profit when it comes to long-term capital gain. Now, what has to be done once you have a capital gain? You sold a property, what next? Now, people come to us asking for that. No, what is the solution? Should I pay the taxes, or is there any way to reduce my taxes? Because short-term capital gain tax is 20% on the profit. So so-called profit, whatever you calculate, whether it is 40 lakhs or 20 lakhs or whatever it is, 20% you have to pay as capital gain tax as early as possible. So that is going to be a huge amount as far as capital gain is concerned. Sometimes the amounts are too huge. So how to reduce your tax liability is something what we can discuss. So anybody who sell a property, the first option is actually pay the taxes, declare it in your income tax filing, and that's it. Nothing else to be done. So option number one is calculate the taxes properly as per the indexation, pay the taxes. Option number two is you will be able to reinvest into another property. Okay. As per the latest budget, you can invest into one property or two property, maximum of two property. But the only condition is your maximum capital gain must be less than 2 crore rupees. Okay. So the amount what you get as a profit, only the profit part we are talking about. We are not talking about the entire sales consideration. So if the property's sale considered as 50 lakh rupees, you don't need to reinvest the entire 50 lakhs. Only the profit, the so-called profit what we have arrived, only that has to be reinvested into a different property. That's up to you. But minimum that amount has to be reinvested for you to have zero tax liability over there. So you will be able to reinvest into a different property. Now, time period for that. So either you can buy a property 1 year before this sale. Okay, you are selling it in this month. But if you have purchased a property before 1 year itself, within 1 year bracket, even then you get an exemption for that. Or 2 years after the sale, you have 2 years to buy another property. Or you get 3 years to construct a property on an existing site what you own. Okay. There's one more thing what you need to be very careful is, once you sell the property, if you are planning to pay the taxes than reinvesting, you better pay it as early as possible, because otherwise advance tax and all those things will appear. People normally say, no, I have just sold it and so I have time until I file the IT return. It's not the case actually. You need to pay it as early as possible so that the advance tax dates are met.
You were saying that within 1 year before this sale and 2 years after this sale, you are investing in another property, or like within 3 years after this sale, you are investing in the reconstruction of the same. So how will we inform this to the IT department that otherwise, because within a year or within 2 years there could be a case of a scrutiny, or things could come to us, right?
Whether you invest or not, actually scrutiny can come. So scrutiny has got nothing to do with your reinvestment. Okay, the moment you sell a property, there is a chance of you getting a scrutiny notice, because there is a huge amount coming to your account, and definitely as per the AIR declarations, you may get a scrutiny notice actually. Okay, So the scrutiny notice comes maybe after 2-3 years after you're filing IT return, probably next year, at least 1 year or later. So by that time, there will be some clarity on whatever you have done. So they will check whether you have done it or not. In case you have declared, while filing IT returns, you have mentioned that you are reinvesting the property, but then if you have not done it, then income tax department will reverse all those things and charge you the taxes, interest, penalty, everything together, and you have to repay everything in one go.
So you mean that there is a provision to declare that you have this sale happened and you have this plan for investment, right?
When you file your IT returns, so there is a separate section for capital gain. Okay, now as you file your IT returns for salary, the same way, when you have a capital gain, you need to fill something called an ITR 2, in which you have options to declare all these details, your capital gain, what is your value of acquisition, value of sales consideration, what is the profit, and what is the taxes, and whether you have invested, reinvested, all these things can be mentioned over there. You need to file it with that filing. So that is your declaration basically. Now, if you don't follow the declaration after that, you did not purchase the property and all those things, later everything has to be reversed.
Some practice that we used to have in purchase and sale of properties sometime back, maybe before demonetization, that the actual value was not, the documents were not disclosing the actual value in the document, right? So in such cases, whoever is selling that property will have to bear that liability of the difference, right?
So the main reason, for two reasons, people doesn't show the actual value when they register the property. As far as the buyer is concerned, the more value he shows, he has to pay more stamp paper or registration charges at that point of time. So the buyer want to show it lesser rate. As far as seller is concerned, he'll be worried more about his capital gain taxes. So the more value he shows there, he will be paying more income, capital gain taxes and all those things. So both has got its own risk actually. Tomorrow, if these things comes out, actually the government is going to catch you, and then at that point of time, all these issues are. This is where all this black money also come into picture actually, to avoid this, because definitely when this amount, if the balance amount comes into the bank, definitely the department is going to catch you actually, even if not mentioned in the document. That is the reason people run behind black money and try to take a portion in black, portion in white, and all those things. So as far as you want to live peacefully without much of legal and statutory issues from any departments, avoid doing all those things, do the transactions, try to reduce these taxes with all these means, and be very safe. So one more thing everybody need to keep in mind is, and everybody normally forgot to do is, the moment you do a transaction like this, either you pay the taxes, or if you are unable to take a decision on your reinvestment within 6 months' time, you have to transfer this amount into an account called capital gain account, which can be opened in any of these banks normally. So you transfer the entire amount into a capital gain account, which has to be done within 6 months of this sale happening actually. So that everybody has to do that, in case if you are unable to decide on that. If you already decided on the sale, purchase of second property, reinvestment, everything, you can go ahead with it and do that within that 6 months itself. Even though you have time for time of 2 years and 3 years to construction, the fund has to be parked in something called a capital gain account, which is similar to your savings account itself, but it is like a more monitored account. You will not be able to just like that withdraw the amount and go, unless and until it is a payment for a property purchase or a contract or something like that. So that is something which everybody has to be careful. Now we discussed about one is payment of taxes and one is reinvestment actually. So there is a third option, which is actually reinvestment of this amount or the capital gain into capital gain bonds. There are few capital gain bonds available in the market. One is REC bonds, Rural Electrification Corporation bonds, or NHA, National Highway Authority of India. These bonds, they have specifically for capital gains, which is government approved, which is safe to invest. You can invest up to 50 lakhs capital gain amount into that, and you don't need to reinvest or pay taxes for that amount. Okay, so you'll be, and that will be locked for around, I think, 3 years. You will get a nominal interest for those deposits. You have to pay tax for that, but still you will be able to invest there. It is quite safe investment. even though it will be lesser than the current FD rates of the banks, your investment is safe and you don't have to pay taxes over there. So until 50 lakhs of capital gain, you will be able to invest into that and save it actually. Okay. And one more option which is available, which was declared in the one of the previous budgets, national budget, is investing into certain technical startups. Okay, there are a lot of conditions applicable for that, but still your capital gain can be invested into that. But a lot of conditions, like including the number of shares or maybe percentage of shares what you are supposed to buy or invest into that company. So that is also one new option which has been provided by the department. We had discussed only about the capital gains. Okay, there are certain instances actually we might have made some losses also. Okay, so what do we do in that case actually? So in that case, even in that case, you have to declare it in your income tax return, and government allow you to carry forward that loss into the next financial years. You can carry forward maximum to 8 financial years. Whatever loss you make in the current financial year can be carried forward to next financial year. There is only one condition: you have to declare it in your income tax return, and you have to file it before the due date. If you don't file the IT return before the due date, this is one disadvantage, because many people come and ask us actually, what happen if I file it after the due date? Okay, paying penalty is most probably the easiest thing to do, but then these are the things you will not be able to claim this carry forward.
So this capital loss part, as in I mean, that is a rare case, right? Especially in the case of house property.
So yeah, when it comes to property, actually there is very less chance of making a loss over there. But when it comes to share sale, equity sale, and all those things, this is very common actually. So the benefit of carry forwarding is actually next year, if you the same year itself, if you have made a capital loss again, it can be adjusted to that, or you can carry forward that in the next financial years. 8 years you can carry forward. After 8 years, it will be written off. Okay. So in those 8 years, if you make a gain over there, you will be able to adjust it with the capital gain itself. You will not be able to adjust it with any of our other income like your salary and all those things. You will not be able to adjust it.
We are talking about for agricultural land, it is not applicable. This capital gain tax is not applicable. So what qualifies to show it as an agricultural land?
It is not agricultural land. It is agricultural land in rural India. Okay, so they have some distance from the municipal boundary they have mentioned in the income tax sections. So as per that, if you fall under that, then you don't have a capital gain. Another thing what we have to keep in mind is the TDS part, that is tax deducted at source. Whenever you sell a property, 1% of the total sale value will be deducted by the buyer, and he will be paying it with your PAN card, and then he will give a certificate to you, the TDS certificate to you. Now, the reason for this exercise is by doing this, actually, income tax department will clearly know that how much is the sale value. By paying 1% a nominal percentage of the tax, the income tax department will know which PAN card, which assessee has done this sale. So for transparency reason, actually, department has made it mandatory. Whenever you sell it, actually 1% TDS will be deducted by the buyer actually. And when you file your IT return, you can also consider this 1% deducted by this one against your income tax liability, and you can claim it. Like in case if you are reinvesting into another residential property to avoid the tax, this 1% whatever has been deducted you will get as a refund. One more thing is, like if you are an NRI, when you sell it, actually the TDS percentage is going to be 20%. It is not 1%. So it is different for NRIs, non-resident Indians. When you sell a property, the TDS percentage is going to be 20%, and it is not 1%. And in case if you feel that 20% is going to be high, like for example, as per your tax liability, you're planning to reinvest and you don't have that much of tax liability, you can always go to the income tax department and get a discounted TDS percentage certified and give it to the buyer, and then he will deduct the TDS accordingly. Without you giving a certificate, he has got no right to reduce that TDS.
So a little bit confused about this part, as in, say there is a capital gain tax of 20%. right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, so there is this 1% that buyer has to pay on. So this 20% is fixed, or this 1% will have these adjustments with that,
Okay,
with
I
the
just
capital gain tax and the TDS.
Okay, I'll explain. Now, this 1% TDS can be adjusted to this capital gain tax.
Okay.
Now, this 20%, whatever tax you are supposed to pay, you are supposed to pay it to the government. Now, this 1% is an advance tax, advance deducted by your buyer and paying it on behalf of you. So whenever you pay the taxes, actually that much amount less you have to pay in case you are planning to pay. Right? It's the same. Both are going to income tax. Either you pay it or buyer pays it. It all goes to the income tax department under your PAN card number itself.
So again, coming back to that point about NRI, there is a TDS of 20%, and there is this capital gain tax of 20%. So
then they don't pay any taxes. In case if they are planning to pay the taxes, the 20% is already, that is the whole reason, because the NRIs are not available in India many times. So they find it difficult to, find the assessee after the sale. So that's the reason they kept this 20% thing, so that the tax has been taken in advance. And then they need to, in case they also have the right or liberty to reinvest into another property. So they have to go through the process of reinvesting and then get this refund after filing IT returns. So that is something what they have to go through.
Niju, earlier we were talking about a chance of scrutiny, regardless of whether you are capital gain or showing all those things. Anyway, there is a chance for a scrutiny for anyone. How should in the case of a house property sale, how should what all documents should he or she should be readied with in case of such a scrutiny situation?
Now, one thing I want to tell in advance is actually when you sell a property, you have more chances of getting a scrutiny notice, even if you don't file the IT returns. Okay. Now, many people think actually the scrutiny notice is normally picked up by the department only if you file the IT return. It's not like that. Now, that is one reason actually we just mentioned about the 1% TDS deducted. With that 1%, actually income tax department clearly knows who has sold the property, who has purchased. Everything is very clear actually. So even if you try to avoid filing the IT returns, you have more chances of getting a scrutiny notice. So it's always better to declare it in your filing. How much is the value? How much is the sale consideration? What is your expenses, indexation? Everything you can mention over there, and how you have settled it, either by paying taxes or by reinvesting into bond. Everything has to mention in your IT returns. Now, even after declaring everything, it is not that they will not come to you and ask questions. They have all the right to come and ask you questions actually. And especially with all the current technology-driven situation, they have more access into everything. They can ask you questions actually. One thing, people does mistake of this black money and this money, all those things. You register for 10 lakh rupees and money comes into your bank is 20 lakh rupees. Definitely, you are in trouble at that point of time. Income tax department will clearly know that 20 lakh rupees has come there, and you have to answer, how this 20 lakhs has come to your account. So, so in what way we have to be careful? What all documents you should keep ready, because anybody who sell a property, there are more chance to get a scrutiny notice. So you have to make sure a certain set of documents are always available with you. Okay, point number one, your purchase deed. So whenever you purchase the property, that mother deed is required with you. And when you sell it, actually, that deed, anyway, definitely you will have it with you. That mother deed copy also, you should have. That sale deed copy also, you should. These are the two main documents we need. In case if you are claiming any other expenses in between, as I said, any expenses in between, which can give the capital appreciation for your asset, that also you can claim with indexation, but then they will ask you a proof for that. So try to keep the documents ready for that, or in case if you have done any capital appreciation work inside the house, then try to get the documents ready for that. So these are the documents, the stamp papers of purchase and sale, that is more important for you. In case if you have paid the taxes, that documents, or maybe you can get the details from 26AS, or if you have purchased a bond, that bond copies and all those things, you need to keep it ready actually. And one more thing you have to keep in mind is anytime when you get a scrutiny notice, maybe the reason for calling you for a scrutiny may be because of the capital gain, but department is not going to check only for this. They will be checking all the financial transactions for that particular year. So that also you should keep in mind. On that year, actually, especially, make sure your transactions, your bank, your credit card, everything is very clear, because they may ask you questions. I mean, any questions they ask, if you answer properly with the proper supporting document, they are not going to trouble you. Your life is going to be easy.
We'll keep these documents, the stamp papers of both. But in the case of, you have this plan of, investment, but you are not clear about that, or you have this verbal agreement with someone.
The verbal agreement is definitely not accepted by the department. The only thing is, people has got issues like, have booked a flat with a builder, have an agreement with them, but agreement is in stamp paper. It's a valid document. Okay. You might have paid an advance to them. Those things can be used as a document, but a verbal agreement is never a valid thing as far as income tax department is concerned. They will never agree with that.
Yeah, because a case of reinvestment or reconstruction or something, so there has to be a definite plan when as soon as or as early as possible to while we are doing a transaction, right?
It is better to have the plan as early as possible, whatever is your plan. And as I said, actually, in case if there is a delay in your plan also, you have all the way to reinvest, transfer that amount into your capital gain account in the same bank itself, and keep your funds safely over there until you take a decision on that.
There are such situations like, I have got a property from my parents or the inherited one. So it could be like the purchase could have happened decades back. So will that apply, or how will that taxation, capital gain tax, be calculated in that case?
In the beginning, I told about the capital gain also arise when you transfer a property. Okay. But this inheritance of the property is an exemption for that. Okay. When you inherit the property from your parents, at that point of time, there is no capital gain arised over there. But when you sell that property, that time capital gain will be there. Definitely capital gain tax is applicable. But the purchase date of your parents, the date on which your parents has purchased, that date will be considered as your purchase date. That is the main difference in that. So you get a better benefit of indexation, because more older the property is, more indexation benefit you will get it actually. So the date of transfer is not your purchase date. Your date of purchase of the property by your parents, that will be considered as your purchase date to calculate the indexation. So I think we had a nice session about capital gain on house property. I hope you all will take the advantage of that. Now the summary is, whenever you sell a house property, either you pay the taxes as per the indexation. If it is a short-term capital gain, pay it without indexation itself. If it is long-term, pay the taxes with indexation, or reinvest into another property to avoid or maybe reduce your tax liability, or reinvest into capital gain bonds. These are the various options available for capital gain taxes. I hope you all like this session.
Thank you so much, Nijo, for this enlightening session. So I think we will have more sessions on the capital gain part based on the other kind of transactions possible. So thank you once again, Nijo.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Ashish. And any viewers has got any doubts on this capital gain, you can comment here itself. We will answer it as early as possible. Thank you very much.